We have the phenomenon of the white pope. But the white pope is just the head of the official organ, the official Roman Catholic religion. Behind him is the black pope. And behind the black pope, for those who are familiar specifically with my work, is the cult of Aton. And these hierarchs out of the ancient Egyptian world, the old Israelite Egyptian pharaohs of old. A whole other concept that we don't have time to elaborate on now. But those who are familiar with my work will understand that there's a worship of the dark side of the sun, which Christians call Luciferianism. And they're not far wrong, actually. They're not far wrong. But I prefer to call it Atonism, the worship of the sun church that Jordan has spent his whole life elaborating on. The solar church. What is the solar church? These people that we're talking about today are lower henchmen, servants, lieutenants of this great power. But specifically, Bush answers to the Queen and also to the Black Pope, who at this point in time is Peter Hans Kolvenbach and his coterie, Opus Dei, and many of the other orgs that they control in this country, including the media. As David Icke said, the Queen of England made Bush's military chiefs, Colin Powell and Norman Schwarzkopf, honorary knights of the British Empire. And the senior Bush is indicted for her services rendered also in the First War of Iraq. Of course. But for any American to get on his knees to those people in Buckingham Palace is an obscenity. That alone should have had them thrown into the Atlantic Ocean where they belong. Right. How dare they, that a few hundred years ago, you were fighting these people. You were all at war against these tyrants. The Tsar of Russia wasn't your enemy. The Outer Mongolians weren't. Certainly not the Afghanistans and Saddam Hussein. No. The enemy of America, as I've said many times, was Britain. So what are they doing giving the keys of the city of New York to the Queen of England just a short time after? What are these guys doing, getting on their knees? Well, they're doing it because they have to. They're going home to say, pat me on the back, now I've done my job. America's sinking a little bit further into the grave. Where's my medal? Where's the schools that my kids are going to go to? You see, all those privileges. I don't care about the American people. I care about my life, my family. Henry Ford, who was a little bit onto some of this stuff, he was off in many areas, but the man had a sort of a glimmer, same as Howard Hughes, into what was going on. And one thing he said I agree with, he said people deserve the government they get. We're going to see in this presentation that he is exactly precisely right, probably more than he even knew. We do deserve the governments we get, and we're going to find out how we bring those governments into existence. In my work specifically, unlike a lot of other researchers in this field, I do not leave consciousness at the door. I've always stated, and will continue to state, until the end, that no matter how many other permutations that this conflict takes on, like Federal Reserve, you see, or IRS, or endless vaccinations, you see, or war in the Gulf, you see, or any other kind of permutation that's out there in your face in the physical time-space continuum, any of these horrors that are taking place, illegal immigration, the list goes on. The real war is a psychic one. The real war is on consciousness. And too many people are forgetting this in this conspiratorial movement, so to speak, or in alternative history. And I will not ever make that mistake. Science has often left consciousness at the door, and look at what has happened to science. Now it has to bring it back in because the science basically run aground in the 1970s from all the time of leaving consciousness out and so-called objectivity. But we must not make the same mistake. So no matter whatever permutations of the tyranny that you see openly, as awful as that is in the 3D world, never forget first that it's all about attack here. It's they live. It's psychic dictatorship. What is government? The proof is in the words, the etymology. From the Latin gubernare, or the Greek gubernan. And those words mean to control. And then, of course, you can look it up anywhere. Mente simply means mind. So government literally means the control of the mind. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing is hidden from us. Nothing. It's right there for the person to see. But my question is then, how is this accomplished? Once we understand that it's a psychic tyranny and they're trying, to control our minds as well as our lives, we want to discover a little bit more about how that's accomplished, because we are in the age of solutions now. So I asked you a question. How many people have been to the optician recently? Right. And I think what's the price for just a normal cursory run-of-the-mill diagnosis of even one eye? Isn't it like $300, the bill? Huh? It's about $75. And I've heard that in some places, for a little bit further diagnosis or for a real treatment, it can cost up to $300 per eye. You can be walking out with almost a $1,000 bill just for a checkup on your eyes from an optician. Well, then I ask a question. What is the price we're willing to pay for the boon of clear mental vision? What do we owe the teachers of the world who help us come to clarity when we're in a delirium? What do we owe the Jordan Maxwells of the world? The teachers who walk very close to us to say, my goodness, and what they end up doing the thinking for all of us. They first have to do the thinking for themselves, and then they find out they've got to do the thinking for their brothers and sisters who say, no, I don't want to think. Can you not do the thinking for me? That's too much trouble. And we have to understand as we become teachers ourselves that really, as I've often said, the word teacher is synonymous with the word threat. Try waking somebody up from their delirium and you will soon find that you're a threat. Try even talking about fluoride in the toothpaste. Or don't have your children vaccinated with hundreds of vaccines, and you're going to find that you're immediately a threat, even amongst the people that are closest to you. And we don't want to have that clear vision that the teacher is trying to bring us to, or the shaman is trying. No, we want to edit. So when a lot of people are saying, look, I live in a harmonious world, I don't see any of this stuff going on, I'm looking for peace, love, and harmony. What they really mean is that they are editing out the ugliness so that they can be in that one-season world. But the man who's using his whole mind doesn't do that. And then say, oh, I'm living in Shangri-La, because they've beautifully, carefully, and methodically edited out the ugly side of life. They're unintegrated souls.